Right. Good morning once again. Welcome to the interview segment of Good Morning Africa. This is the morning show. As usual, a reminder that we are live from our series at number 48, Monica Street in Abelempe. Also live across 46 other African countries via satellites in some parts of Europe and, of course, South America. You can also find us. This show is also live on the internet at facebook.com/Pan-African Television, as well as youtube.com/Pan-African Television. Kudos to Ohema Ichanjakum for bringing us up to speed with the trending stories on the front pages of the various newspapers. A tad later on the show, though, Kwame Usudanso and his guests would be bringing you the review segment of the show, where they would be discussing topical African and Kenyan issues. But for the meantime, I'm so much honored and privileged to be in the esteemed company of Dr. Michael Abu Sakara Foster. He is a former standard bearer of the Convention's People's Party. He is, of course, a founder and leader of a political party too as well. But then they've joined forces with the Movement for Change and other small political parties to form one monolithic entity, that is the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. Yesterday saw the launch of the Great Transformational Plan at the Movenpick Ambassador's Hotel. There are a few questions that I have on my mind that I'll be asking him, and I'm sure you'd be interested in listening to every bit of this conversation as well. Dr. Sakara, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've seen you time and again on TV, very well spoken. And I remember the days when you were flag bearer of the Convention's People's Party.
That is correct.
Of course, you had ambitions, hopes to become the president of this country. It didn't come to fruition, but you haven't shied away from playing a pivotal role in Ghana's political space, and that for me is very, very worthy of admiration.
Thank you.
We are honored to have you in our studios this morning. And let me get straight to the point. What informed that decision to be a part of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change?
Thank you. I think, first of all, we are actually more than a part, because the Movement for Change and the National Interest Movement are the two primary partners, say senior partners in the alliance. And we sat around the table to debate how we could make an impact in this election that will cause a paradigm shift and break the duopoly. As you well know, we have now been under a duopoly for 37 years. Of course, they've achieved what they can achieve. But like all things, they get to the age of senescence and they cease to be creative. They cannot respond to the current situation and are stagnant. So they're not the only Ghanaians in Ghana. There are other Ghanaians. So we need to come together and rejuvenate the political thinking process to solve the major problems that are ahead of us. And when we talk about this, we should know and understand that where we are in Ghana now is a very crucial stage. We have never been here before. We have never been in a country which is near bankrupt. But even the financial aspects can be readily cured. But to get to a stage where we are so divorced from the soul of the nation and who we are, doing things that are totally contradictory to the founding fathers' vision of what this country should have become. Joining forces with the very people that we fought against to get our liberation, turning our backs on our friends and our our friends and our allies. These don't signal a good place to be. On top of that, even regionally, amongst our own neighbors, are you with me? We have not got the relationships that we should have with them. It's a formal relationship. It is not that fraternal relationship of brothers in arms fighting for the same cause. Some are doing one thing, others are doing another thing. Where is the Pan-Africanism in that? And it is because we have lost sight of that leadership quality, that leadership vision that says that a united Africa is stronger than all of us, and that our true destination in this world is to regain the powerful status that Africa once had prior to the advent of European adventurism that broke our front. If we are not trying to do that, and we are just trying to manage with economies and then have a standard of living here, and those things, even cows live in the field. Are you with me? But if you're not aspiring to something greater than who you are now, then what will the next generation become? So, in as much as we talk about the alliance, it is not just an alliance to win an election. It is an alliance to reclaim a vision and begin creating an alternative in Ghana, an alternative political force. That requires all of us. So as you can see from the nature of this alliance, we have people from right of center and we have people from left of center coming together. People who are neutral of ideology, but want a pragmatic solution that not only solves the economic and social problems, but restores us on a path that seeks a vision that will lift us to where we're supposed to be. And that will also fulfill some fundamental qualities and values that we have once cherished. A human-centered development approach that puts emphasis on equity, meritocracy, and also patriotism. So these are all embedded in the various clusters and pillars of the transformation plan. So it is not a manifesto.
Right.
We're not a political party. We're a movement. And we've come together to pursue a vision and a cause. It has different stages along the way. Our immediate objective right now is to stop the hate, because we cannot continue on this perilous path that has put us into the abyss and bottomless pit of debt and continued total misalignment of the nation's interests and wastage of the future of the younger generation. We cannot continue on that path.
Right. I've been hearing about the great transformational plan for quite some time now, if I'm not wrong, since September 25, when Mr. Alan Kyerematen decided to go solo, decided to break away from the New Patriotic Party and then form the Butterfly Movement. I mean, that is. I want to find out, is it the same great transformational plan we've known from the beginning, or when parties like yours and movements like yours came on board, it had to be redefined? Then it means that it had to be looked at again, where it wasn't only Mr. Alan Kyerematen's hopes and aspirations for that GTP, but also it had to include your hopes, your aspirations, your policies that you feel that would inure to the benefit of the Ghanaian people and the other parties.
Okay. I think the first thing to say is that the approach to develop a policy framework as opposed to a manifesto was something that was begun even before he came out of the NPP. And he reached out across the political spectrum of Ghana to request people who felt had the technical competence and experience to help him develop that plan. And in the process, I headed the Agriculture and Natural Resources Division, not as a political ally of his, but simply as a technical person, a technocrat who wanted to contribute to forming a framework that will begin to respond to some of the issues that have been challenging us. So from the beginning, it was broad and inclusive. It had no, you are not MPP or something like that. And that was something I marked down about the kind of government he may run. Are you with me? And the kind of political person that he was. He was broad enough to be inclusive. At that time, I was contributing only technically. After he came out from the NPP and began to solicit political support, not technical support, we met again. And I said, well, now you have joined us in the wilderness. You're part of the people who don't belong to either NDC or MPP. Yeah. So our intention is to build a long-lasting, credible alternative to NDC and MPP as they have existed. So if you're willing to join hands with us on that one, then we can work together politically and fuse our visions. So we started working together politically. Alongside that, the Great Transformation Plan was still evolving. And at that point, we signed a memorandum of understanding that will create a broad enough base to capture all the things that were of the national interest in terms of moving forward to form a vision, but also highlight all the things that came from our own attitudes and habits to government, our understanding of government, which had been hitherto creating a problem for us. People thinking that government is big fufu, you bring your plate and come and cut and take home power benkwa and take them as much meat as you like, go sit down and eat it, and then come back for more. That's those kinds of attitudes that were a leftover from the colonial mentality. The colonial mentality was that you're here to rape the colony and take as much as you like to develop your home country. But here we have now got our own governments. So how do you rape your own country? Are you with me? So we have to change that mentality. And if you notice, every subsequent government we have had since the First Republic, debt has been increasing, corruption and mismanagement has been going up, the cost of public expenditure relative to their delivery has been going up, debt to GDP ratio has been going up. It has never come down. So that tells you that there's something fundamentally wrong in how we perceive governance. We're not perceiving governance as service to the people. We're perceiving governance as service for a few at the expense of the many. And if that equation is not turned around, nothing that you do will take you forward. So these things have to be addressed. And that is why you have the governance cluster in the transformation plan as a sine qua non, as a precursor, as a precondition to the interventions in the economic and other spheres. Because it's like a conveyor belt at the airport. If it is not working, you will not get your baggage. Whether your bag is green, blue, or yellow, it will not come. And you know the confusion that happens there when everybody is climbing to get their baggage. So you have to have governance, good governance, as the basis for your interventions. And those things must respond not just to what you think good governance should be, but what you know you have been. Are you with me? And the things you know you have been doing, the things you know which are culturally embedded, and how you overcome those. So we've laid all that out in here. We want to see mechanisms that change the balance between the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary to ensure that one person does not over-dominate the others and emasculate their ability to create the checks and balances, which from the beginning to where we started, it has been getting worse and worse and worse to a point now where even ants can be arrested on the order of the president. Are you with me?
Right.
Flagrant and open abuse of power. So those are the things we need to check, because we know that people tend to do those things, especially when we're now driven by the madness of partisanship at the expense of the nation, where partisan interests have subsumed the national interest, and winning and maintaining power is the only game in town. So we have to address that. We also have to address the issues of decentralization of power and resources.
Right.
And then before we come to talk about the interventions that we'll now put in place to curb the excessive mismanagement and then invest in the areas of growth that will generate more money than we spent. And certainly we have to curb our expenditure so that we don't spend more than we earn.
Right. I think we both do concur that we are in a very bad place in terms of our economy. Of course, a lot of Ghanaians agree as well. They feel it in their everyday lives. Now, you are seeking to address that through an enterprise economy. What is an enterprise economy for the layman watching us this morning?
Well, I think it is fair to say, for a start, that people should know we are in the age of entrepreneurship. We did the Stone Age. We came to the Iron Age. From there, we lasted for a long time. We came to the Industrial Age. From the Industrial Age of steel and machines and manufacturing, we moved into the Information Technology Age. The Information Technology Age is now progressing to another level, which is the entrepreneurial age, where people can just sit down, think, and make money. You know, the biggest money now is not made from working hard and sweating in the field and cranking machines. No, it's made from thinking. You know, who are the biggest people with the most money now? They're all the money, they're not working in factories. They're not sweating in shops. It's thinking. So this is the entrepreneurial age. So we must begin to adjust our economy to that entrepreneurial age. That means our human resources must be redirected towards entrepreneurship. And to put it in plain language, it means that if you are now leaving university, leaving college, leaving school, you should be thinking of entrepreneurship. Those days when government jobs depended on the narrow base of production and factories, which we don't have anyway, or have killed, are you with me? Those days are gone. So you should be thinking of entrepreneurship. And government should be thinking of how it will enable young people not only to have the human resource capacity to develop enterprises, but have the enabling framework of finance, infrastructure, and policy to ensure that they start the enterprise, they can get access to get on the ladder of starting enterprises, and that the conditions will make those enterprises grow. Because we have seen the conditions under this government killing enterprises. So there's no point in starting enterprises if you're only going to create conditions that kill them. Are you with me? Right. So it has to go hand in hand. Furthermore, and to be clear, we are not going to embark on this reckless, fruitless recruitment of people into the public sector in unproductive positions to stand around at airports, populate desks in ministries with no real jobs to do, just to say that we have recruited 1,000 people. How is that solving any problem? How is that producing anything? How is that increasing any efficiency? You said the 100 ministers, etc., will increase efficiency. Is this the result of efficiency? Are you with me? So we cannot overpopulate people using government recruitment, are you with me, to create jobs just for the sake of it. That doesn't help, because already, we are spending more than 70% of our income, revenue, on public sector wages. And one of the conditions for getting access to financing is to reduce the public expenditure. So you cannot go and say that, oh, you create employment by... No, we have to have a more innovative idea. And that idea must revolve around enterprises, because it will be productive and it will be self-employed. All we have to do is enable that and then point them towards the sectors of growth that will also inure to real development of the country. You can have growth without development. GDP has gone up, but where is the growth? Where is the productivity? So we must channel them towards areas of growth. And that's why we have to look towards our agriculture. We have to look towards new AI innovations and keep abreast with the changes in the technology. It cannot just be opening and shutting shops, servicing other people's industry from their manufactured products which they bring here. That doesn't help anybody. So this is why we're lucky to have somebody who really understands corporate business, who has been in corporate business, who has been in enterprise development. The track record is there. It's not that we are saying it. Go and Google, you'll find what our presidential candidate has done. Are you with me? So that gives you the confidence that we are not talking about people who came out from university and have never worked anywhere. If you're just in government, what you have is the experience of administration. You don't have the experience of creating anything. Yeah? So we were talking about people who have been outside government and are now coming into government. Are you with me? Or have been in government and got the experience, and together we can rechannel the energies and resources in the vein of entrepreneurship. So that is basically what we mean by an enterprise economy.
Right. Also, let's look at our currency, the Ghana cedi. Its performance against its major trading currencies like the dollar, the euro, the pound, abysmal. The past 2 years, as far as I can remember, since September of 2022, the cedi to dollar ratio has been galloping. How will the great transformational plan address that canker? Because a lot of industries, a lot of importers especially, are feeling the pinch of the very, very high interest rate.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very important question, and it's also part of the first question you asked about, and that's what I mean by creating the conditions and talking about the conditions. The first point is that what are the factors that are driving the exchange rate in the wrong direction? It is the demand for the dollars being more than the demand for the CDs. So the CDs are chasing the dollars, and that is what is driving the exchange rate up. In addition to that, we also, and why is that? Because we are importing things that we could be producing here. Another reason is that much of the expenditure that we do locally, which we don't have to do in dollars, we link it to dollars, which yesterday you heard the presidential candidate talk specifically about the abolition of the syndication loan for cocoa purchasing, so that we mobilize the money in CDs and buy our cocoa, which you have grown here. And that will mean that all that cocoa money in CDs is not now chasing dollars. It's not going to drive the exchange rate up. So that is a big chunk that will stabilize at least reduce the demand for dollars in the system. Not to mention also the fact that at the port, when people import goods, with a fluctuating exchange rate, by the time they clear the goods, even the profit has gone out, because he bought the goods when it was, say, 7 to 1. By the time he's paying, it is now 14 to 1. How much profit are you going to make to cover that 100%, increment? Yeah. So we need to put these things in the right perspective. And that's why he mentioned the fact that, one, we will have a window for those essential products that we need to import and lock that exchange rate for the period of importation, so that the businessman knows that if I import this at this rate and I'm going to sell it at the same rate, I'll get my margins and I can turn over the business. This will be a special window. But in addition to that, we must also make sure that the clearing of facilities don't take forever and ever. One tax after another, this one, going to this department, going to that department. You can spend a week there trying to clear one thing. So we have to simplify those things and ensure those procedures and ensure that all the traction, the things that cause delays are removed and the thing is expedited so that you can move swiftly out. So if you cut the amount of time that is spent in the port too, you will also escape from the vagaries of those exchange rates. That's basically the point he's trying to make. So these things together, plus our own import substitution, which is where the major meat is. And this is why I keep telling you that this great transformation plan is not a manifesto. It's not just a collection of ideas, what are the promises that we make which we can get votes. No. It is addressing the fundamental problem and challenges that we face, creating a framework to do that, and initiating ideas about interventions based on the wrong things we are doing now to correct them, and making the sacrifices, choosing to make the sacrifices and face the hardships of making those changes. And that is what transformation demands. Nobody can develop in comfort. And that is also another challenge that is the bane of our development. It has dragged us down because increasingly, as generations have gone on, we have expected a rapid transformation and development to live like other people in the West, but in comfort. We don't want to suffer for it. Nobody has achieved that. Other people had to rape and plunder other countries and enslave people in order to get to where they are. Other people had to work day and night and deny themselves a whole 2 generations of any enjoyment, any holidays to get to where they are. Other people had to deny themselves certain freedoms, are you with me, to get to where they are. And you want to do it while enjoying Balogo and all those things, and enjoying my Benko and Fufu, are you with me? There have to be some sacrifices somewhere. And that is the mindset now, that if you don't have a political leadership that is telling the younger generation that, how then do you prepare them to make those sacrifices? So we have to be clear. This is why our youth are leaving in droves. Because first of all, they're not prepared to make any sacrifices here. Why should they? They feel there's inequity. We are suffering whilst a few people are enjoying. Why should we do it?
Right.
We have to turn that around. They also don't see any hope. You start a business and you keep going, the business collapses because, the environment is so hostile. It's not even conducive, it is hostile that you lose your capital. And then people are taxing you. Before you turn around, they've taxed you again. You have not even sold anything yet, they've already brought the tax. Are you with me? You don't even know what the profit is. Tax is based on profit. But people can just cut tax for you and say, this is what you have to pay. You have to go and negotiate. So those kinds of things, are you with me, are not conducive for the business environment. And the smaller people are the ones who get squeezed the most. And his small capital runs out. He's out of business. People in the productive sector, the very sector that will bring you the import substitution, you squeeze them. Cost of inputs go up. Cost of fertilizer goes up. Cost of seed goes up. All the transportation goes up. Fuel goes up by triple, quadruple. Are his profits increasing by the same margin? You're putting him out of business. So some of these things, you can't just sit there and say, oh, IMF said that we have to do this, we have to do that, so squeeze them. Are you with me? If you squeeze the goose that lays the golden egg, no more eggs will come.
Right. I have a question which is in two folds. You are very well versed in matters of agriculture. And the great transformational plan is telling us that when we resort to agriculture, then the high CD2 dollar rate we are seeing could become a thing of the past. But then again, we can't also look away from the fact that we are a people who have a taste for foreign goods. But then again also, the conversation is that if we are going to move away from having that sort of taste for foreign products, then it means that we should be able to produce so much for our domestic needs. Is there a possibility of that happening?
Oh, there's every possibility of that happening. First of all, who are the people who have a taste for foreign goods? The only people here in Accra, the rest of us in the villages, we're eating our fufu banku and all.
Wednesday morning. My name is Kwame Owusu Danso. This is Pan-African Television broadcasting from Abelinkwe here in Accra, Ghana, across 46 other African countries. And every morning when I get the opportunity to sit here, I am always exhilarated because I get the opportunity to interact with our very many viewers across the country and the continent. And this morning is no exception. We are going to be dealing with a number of issues which we have tabled for our conversations, which issues are matters that border on bread and butter issues. And clearly, we have carefully selected these topics for us to be able to have very, patriotic conversations, which conversations ultimately will lead to the advancement and the development of the Republic of Ghana. And so this morning, our task is very simple. We are going to do proper post-mortem analysis of all the issues. And we cannot do it alone. You know that you, the viewers, most of you, or majority of you, in fact, all of you, are as intelligent as all of us are. So we cannot do this show without you. And so for the purposes of having a very important intellectual exercise, I would want to encourage that once you are watching Pan-African Television this morning, once you are tuned in, and once you are on our social media platforms, you can as well join the conversation by sending us your messages to our WhatsApp number, which will be projected on your screens, and also our Facebook and YouTube pages. Please do well to share your comments with us, and we will also do well to read them out for you. Alhaji Hamza in Pig Farm, let me say a special good morning to you. My brother, yesterday I was unable to read your message. In fact, 2 days ago I was unable to read your message, but I beg you to forgive me. I think that we had so many messages, and I opened your message to want to read it, but I don't know, for some reason it escaped me. So let me apologize to you, and apologize to all the others whose messages we were not able to read. But this morning, I will try as much as possible to read as many of the messages as possible. Now, let me quickly take you through the topics for today's conversation. At least 5 killed, Parliament set ablaze in Kenya protest. And if you have seen the videos, it tells you that when the people want something done, they will do it at all costs, and they will defy death, and they will defy every logic. Insofar as they believe in what it is that they are fighting for, they will fight to the end. And I want to send a hearty congratulations to the very many millions, multitudes of Kenyans who thronged the streets of Kenya and who marched straight to Parliament House in defiance of all the live round bullets which were fired at them, the tear gas, the hot water cannons, and all the pepper spray and every other thing which would have ordinarily been a deterrent to them from demonstrating and marching to the Parliament House. They did that. They defied all of that and marched in protest against the increment in taxes. And I can bet you that taxes everywhere is nuisance to the people, especially when the country is in some economic turmoil. You would expect that government will actually be very empathetic and sympathetic to the plight of the people. So if you find that your government or the leaders that you voted for are not doing your bidding, then I think that the only solution that you have is to express yourself through varied means. One of such is demonstration. And that is what has been demonstrated quite unequivocally in Kenya. I am very happy, and I support the people 1000% that they are fighting for their rights and they are fighting for their liberties. And I'm happy that at least some strong message has been sent to the leaders in Kenya. You can see pictures on your screens now, indicating to us that the people were actually defying all the orders in order that, look at the thousands of people who have thrown. I pray that someday Ghanaians will also begin to demonstrate in such a manner. The only such demonstration we've seen is the Kume Preko demonstration. That was some 20-something years ago. It's a long time ago. You see, and so the leaders are taking us for granted. I mean, people can openly steal money, people can brazenly steal money, and then they show opulence in your faces. And then when you go and talk about it, they poo-poo it and they disrespect you. People can openly campaign against Doomso, but when they are in office and we are experiencing same, they will have justification for it. It doesn't make sense. So Ghanaians, we must begin to think twice and do what is right. Next topic. NDC not committed to free SHS bill. Afenyo Makin is the one making these spurious allegations. Ambulance case cross-examination has exposed NDC's lies and deception. Godfrey Dame. Senate's rejected my 34-year-old son's $200 million for Brian Champon's $61 million bid. Freddie Blay, hey, it's about $200 million. Wow. Power must be very sweet. Power must be very sweet. What kind of job is he doing that he has $200 million in his account? Or is in your... At 34 years. My brother, if I had $200 million, even $1 million in my accounts, right, even at my age, I'd be very happy.
Somebody dreamt.
Only dreamt. $1 million, yeah, one.
And we made all the noise and the person had to be removed.
I think my partners have introduced themselves already, so there's no introduction again. Albert, good morning to you, sir. I trust you well. My chief and my accountant. Register, good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
I trust you well.
In fact, I can see you are dressed for court.
No, unfortunately, no.
Otherwise, you would have seen that.
The collar and the whip.
No, but sometimes they do without.
Yeah, you know. Now, this morning we will try as much as possible, be as frank as possible with the issues or to the issues, and we will bring you exposés if we may. On this particular platform. Let me extend felicitations to Reverend Father Jojo Jepi Gabra. You are an ardent viewer of Pan-African television from when we started till today. I cannot but thank you very much, and a special good morning going out to you, greetings to you. We love and we appreciate you. Keep watching Pan-African television and keep supporting us. Let's go to Kenya now, which is in East Africa. Police shot at protesters as they breached the Parliament complex in Nairobi on Tuesday, with at least 5 demonstrators killed and dozens more wounded. Angry over proposed tax hikes, many protesters across the country are calling for President William Ruto to leave office. The mainly youth-led rallies, which began last week, have caught Ruto's government off guard, with Ruto saying over the weekend he was ready to talk to the protesters. But tensions sharply escalated on Tuesday afternoon as crowds began to throw stones at police and push back against barricades, making their way towards the Parliament complex, which was sealed off by the police in full riot gear. The story continues to say that police fired at crowds massing outside the Parliament building, where lawmakers had been debating a contentious bill featuring tax hike proposals. At least 5 people have been shot dead while treating the injured. 31 people have been injured, the Kenya Medical Association said in a statement. The Kenyan Human Rights Commission had earlier said in a statement on X that police have shot 4 protesters as witnessed by KHRC Kalen 1 shortly before Irungu Houghton, the executive director of Amnesty International Kenya, told AFP that human rights observers are now reporting the increasing use of live bullets by the National Police Service in the capital of Nairobi. Quote, safe passage for medical officers to treat the wounded is now urgent, unquote, he said. The Reuters journalists counted the bodies of at least 5 protesters outside Parliament. Paramedic Vivian Achista said at least 10 had been shot dead. Another paramedic, Richard Ngumu, said more than 50 had been wounded by gunfire. He was lifting 2 injured protesters into an ambulance outside Parliament. Kenya's internet service also suffered major disruption on Tuesday, global web monitor NetBlocks said. Quote, live network data show a major disruption to internet connectivity in Kenya. The incident comes amidst a deadly crackdown by police on #Reject Finance Bill 2024 protesters a day after authorities claimed there would be no internet shutdown. So this is where we are now. Patriotic citizens of Kenya demonstrating against tax hikes is something that I find very encouraging, and it gives me some comfort that at least on the continent we have a people who will not be subjected to deception and some form of control. But if they are unhappy with what is happening, they will go out there and protest. Honorable Abed, respectfully, let me start the conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you, Kwame, for the opportunity. Kenya is a very interesting topic to discuss this morning. And the question I want to start with is, what changed? What changed? Because the president of Kenya today, Ruto, was the vice president of Uhuru Kenyatta. And when he was campaigning to take over from the president Kenyatta, he made the people to understand that he was the people's man. He was fighting for the ordinary Kenyan, that he and the downtrodden, he understood their predicament and will fight for them. And therefore the people rallied behind him against someone they have known in the political circles, again, Raila Odinga, remember. And they gave him that support, and he won to become the president. But right after, just about some 5 months after he won the presidency, then things began to change. And we saw Kenyan ordinary people not happy with the way he was ruling. Kenya had a similar, or is going through a similar situation as we are going in Ghana, where they owe so much to the international world or community. They owe so much to, the local banks, like we do in Ghana, where we go to raise bonds and all of that. So they were now having problems to pay their loans. And the best way for the government was to tax the people more in order to raise money to pay their debts. That was where the problem started in Kenya. So if you have to pay the debt that you so much owe by borrowing, and then the only way is to tax the ordinary Kenyan to pay your debt, then it is believed that you are not able to deliver what you promise to deliver for the people. When they started with this bill, they had proposed even to tax bread. To tax bread. The bread that people buy every day to take tea before they could go out of their houses. They were going to tax bread. They were going to tax cooking oil, fried oil. They were going to tax flour. Imagine in Ghana that the government wakes up one day and wants to tax banku flour. So that your everyday kinky, your everyday banku, you have to pay tax before you can be able to eat. And bread. And the people started to rise against that kind of taxation. So they had to withdraw from those taxes and now decided to impose taxes on other goods and services. And that still didn't go down well with the ordinary Kenyan. What is interesting in this fight in Kenya is the fact that the ruling government or the president is not from the majority of the ethnic group, of Kenya. Normally, the president will come from either a Kikuyu or a Luo, but he is not from any one of them. And you realize that the ordinary Kenyan from the downtrodden to the top are involved in this protest against the government. Why? Because they have realized that the government is taking them nowhere except to make them even more impoverished. And that is why there is so much outrage. The ordinary Kenyan has developed some immunity against the threats against their lives and said that no, we must come out to protest. I was reading a news item in one of the provinces where the MP for that area was beaten. He was beaten by the youth of that area because they accused him of not being able to come back to them to explain to them the bill that was presented to Parliament in order to tax them. You see, so it means that the people in Kenya understand their rights, that when they vote you into power, as a member of Parliament, you owe them the responsibility to come back and consult them before you speak or you vote. But they realized that he voted for the bill to impose taxes on them without coming to first consult them before doing that. I think we need that kind of a thing in Ghana. It is also very interesting to note that the Kenyan people have realized that they have to take their own destiny into their hands. Otherwise, no politician was going to speak for them. And they started the campaign right from the media and got everyone involved so that they could now go onto the street. And when they went on the street, nothing could stop them. Not the might of the Kenyan police service could stop them from demonstrating. They were able to break through into the House of Parliament, where I understand that when they got into the House of Parliament, they went to an area where...
The cafeteria.
Yeah, the cafeteria, where they
sit to... enjoying them, eating the rice.
Exactly, they went to eat...
So this is what people have been enjoying here.
Exactly. You know, so, but all of these things should serve as a lesson for the other African countries. Because the president of Kenya today, when he took over, was talking for Africa. He made us to believe that he was going to chart a path that the whole of Africa would emulate, and that Africa should rise up and be independent and, you know, manage our own affairs. But it turned out to be that he's also borrowing, just like we are borrowing in Ghana. You know, they are raising all kinds of bonds, and now they owe so much that they cannot pay their debt. So the only way they can pay their debt is to tax the ordinary Kenyan to be able to pay. And that is what the people will resist. So all other African countries should take a cue from this, that when you are in opposition and you speak as if you like the people, you are coming to speak and work for the people, you get power, and then, yes, look at the kind of people they were able to pull onto the street. You know, in your opening statement, you talked about the fact that the biggest demonstration we have ever organized in this country was the Kumipreko. And the organizers of that Kumipreko are now the rulers of this country. The architect, not I mean, he was the spokesperson.
He was not the organizer.
I agree with you, because I mean, I think Comrade Kofi Pratt and Co were also involved.
No, they were the ones involved. Kofi Pratt, yeah, they were the ones involved.
They were involved. And Dr. Nyao Tamakulu and Co. But if you consider that the organizers of Kumipreko have long distanced themselves from the president of the country, who was their spokesperson, it tells you something, that he has lost touch. I'm talking about the president of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, has lost touch. You know, he behaves as if he has never experienced what Ghanaians are experiencing now. And the question we those of us who were very young at the time are asking ourselves is this, that, you know, what has changed in Nana Akufo-Addo? I'm deviating from Kenya to Ghana because we must learn lessons. And I think we are not far from what is happening in Kenya. If you consider that people are suffocating. I saw a short video where a woman was showing us a tuber of yam, you know, that used to be sold at 8 cedis, now at 50 Ghana cedis. You know, a carton of chicken that was just 70 Ghana cedis is now sold at no 600 Ghana cedis. There's one.
The wing is 500, and then the
no. The thigh is 500 and the wing is 600.
Yeah, the wing is 500 and then the what we call the drumstick is 400.
It's okay, fine.
From 70 to 400 and from 80 to
exactly
500.
And if you consider that this was just about 8 years ago. 8 years ago. Look
and
at
very interestingly, sorry to
yes.
Those we used to buy the bags just to feed dogs, excuse me.
Of course.
Now you can't even buy the bags to eat.
To feed your dogs.
No, you
can't even to eat, not to talk about dogs. Exactly. So, Kwame, Kenya should be an interesting lesson, and every African president who thinks that they can borrow their way out of the problems we are facing should know that we are only just compounding our problems. Because look, Ghana it should be careful, because we came in the campaign leading to the 2016 election promising to move away from taxation to what? Production, and creating more industries that people can get jobs and all of that. And now we are borrowing more. We had a running mate at the time in the person of Dr. Baumia, who said that you cannot borrow to develop a country, and that they will not do that. Now, it has turned out that they have now borrowed more than any other government in the history of this country. From Nkrumah, they've borrowed more than any other government. So if you have the same person who is running for president today, now promising more, it is nothing but he's inviting chaos in the future. And if Ghanaians don't want to get themselves into that situation where they will fall for the lofty promises that he's very good at, then they should embrace themselves beyond 2025 for a fight, just like Kenyans are fighting. All right. If not, you stick to what you know, and in the person of His Excellency Dramani Mahama, who have been there before, whose regime we saw a carton of chicken sold at 70 Ghana cedis, and today skyrocketed to 400, 500 Ghana cedis. You stick to what you know and what you believe in. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for a very wonderful submission. I think that the pictures should be, if I had money, I would have paid for billboards, and then I would have posted the pictures of the Kenyan demonstration on it, so that it will serve as a reminder to Ghanaians that we have a duty to our nation to ensure that we demonstrate where necessary to bring about development to our people. Let me come to you, Richard. But by the way, before that, let me say a special good morning to my senior at the bar. Yes, lawyer Andrew Apia Dankwa. Good morning.
Morning.
Kwame,
please add my very good friend.
Yes, my very good friend.
Fellow Katangi. One day we have to sing Katanga anthem here.
We will.
Yeah,
we will.
In this studio. Yeah, we have to sing Katanga anthem.
The best university in the world is KNUST. The greatest hall is
Katanga. Yeah. So wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Right. Always a pleasure to be. As in to reach I'm still waiting for my alcohol. And then a good morning to my honorable brother. A great submission. And I think he set a tone for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me come to Richard. I mean, if you look at William Ruto, and I think Honorable in part mentioned that he had the support of the masses by reason of his brand positioning. and yes, brand positioning and his communication. In fact, I think he touched on the nerve center of the young people. You know, when he created the impression that I am for you, I am with you, I'm like you. Let's rescue this country together. Let's build this nation together. Now, it is very surprising that, you know, he's doing the very things he criticized the previous administration, even though he was part of, you know, of doing. Right? I can appreciate that we are not in normal times in terms of global, you know, economic outlook, right? However, if you are imposing taxes, I think that you must first of all place yourself within a position where it will be difficult for people to even question your decision in terms of, you know, your tax regime arrangements, right? So, I mean, first of all, let's look at William Ruto and how he's conducted himself over the period in government. And then let's look at his policies, which policies have led to this massive demonstration.
Well, you know, when you said, when you spoke about his oratory skills, it reminded me of Dr. Mustafa Ahmed when he was
we need to rest.
And wept. Yes, and even wept. Yeah, it was so dramatic.
They can weep. Even sticker. Have you forgotten sticker? They can't cry.
No. You see, I think that discussing the Kenyan situation today is like discussing everything that you need to discuss for the day.
For Ghana.
For the day. Look, this morning, I saw very gory pictures on Ensawam Road. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've not.
Video of an accident, and almost everybody lying on the floor is dead. And they were trying to identify if they could find people living among those who were lying down. And you ask yourself, where are we going? And there was no ambulance on site. The people who were there are not paramedics, so they've just been able to convey the people and just place them. I have the video on my phone now.
I can't do those things. So
it's so worrying. So then you ask, so when people say pay taxes, and then you are paying taxes, and then we cannot complete a simple road from Achimota to Nsawam, and we over 8 years the road is uncompleted, and we will do one interchange and want the whole world to believe that we've done everything in the world. It gives reason for people to be worried. And so when things like this happen and you see what is happening in Kenya, it makes people like Oliver Bakavomawo to become a hero, that he probably may be feeling the pinch that everybody else is feeling. Now, it is not wrong to be taxed if taxes are properly applied, because we need to pay taxes in order to benefit. When we travel out, even as visitors to other countries, whatever we buy there, we are taxed. So, as a responsible citizen, you are supposed to pay taxes. After all, when the people ask Jesus Christ whether or not to pay taxes, he said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, what is unto God to God, because Caesar's head was on the coin. So we have to pay taxes. That is not in dispute. But then, when we pay taxes, they are not meant for people's pockets. So when people pay taxes and they realize that the taxes are going into individual pockets and people are living life beyond what they are supposed to live, then questions arise as to the justification in paying those taxes. And that becomes a challenge. Now, what is happening in Kenya today is not too much about the taxes. It's about the hopelessness of the situation they find themselves in. That when taxes are paid and they are not invested in productive areas, it becomes a problem. Because governments should be able to invest in areas where, when you borrow money, they are able to repay themselves. We need to start from there, because if I'm borrowing money and I'm not investing the money I'm borrowing into productive sectors of the economy, and then I have to come to people to pay taxes for me to go and pay for the money I borrowed, it becomes a challenge. And that is what we do in Africa. Because most of the borrowing go into recurrent expenditure. And to fund lives of political persons. We saw in Guinea or Gabon recently, when they were hosting some oil grouping in their country, and they had to buy 100 brand new V8s just to host the people. And after that, what happens to the V8s? Because even if they decide to sell them, they will devalue them and sell them among themselves. So the money they borrowed to buy those V8s had gone waste. In this country, we hosted, was it a NAM conference or something, and we built the AU village. Just for people to come and sleep in it for 1 week and go away. We spent a whole lot of money. We bought Jaguars and all of those vehicles to convey people from the airport to the AU village. And then what happened to the vehicles? That was when we saw a lot of Chrysler in town. After that, we saw a lot of people driving those Chrysler and all of that. It was the taxpayers' money that was used to buy those things. Yes. And then the AU village was sold for persons who are close to power. Meanwhile, it is the taxes of the ordinary person that was used to fund those things. Sadly, we have become so partisan that we don't see things wrong when our government is in power. Even though we don't stand to benefit from whatever is happening, we dare not challenge it, because once we challenge it, we are making our government unpopular. We are not being loyal to our party. And so we dare not challenge it, and we sit back and suffer. Look, without being biased, for instance, when you go to Tema Port today, the Terminal 3 can pay for itself. The airport Terminal 3 can pay for itself. There are some investments, even the KG tier market. If the women are selling there and you are taxing them, it can pay for itself. If you build quality road and you toll them, depending on the quality and the area and the toll that you are taking, the roads can pay for themselves. So if you borrow and you say, I'm borrowing over 30 years, I'm paying over 30 years, you know that whatever investment you have done with those taxes are capable of paying for themselves. So when we are borrowing and we are investing those borrowing into productive areas, we will not come back and burden people to pay e-levy. And then we will rather break down or change the toll booth into urinals, and then tell people, poor people, that when I send you money beyond 100 cedis, then I have to pay e-levy. When the road toll was giving us over 70 million Ghana cedis every year, when we could have even done better with it if we improve the road network there and we decide to increase the road tolls. So we basically killed the golden hen that was laying the hen that was laying the golden eggs, and then decided to go eat eggs from people's table. Basically, that's the challenge. We do things in the rivers. No, you see, people are saying the Chinese, for instance, are invading everywhere. Why are they able to move in? Because they have government that give them support. They borrow at very low interest, and so they are able to take money from their country, go and invest, move people, some of their people. So they seem to be invading everywhere. We think it's only in Africa. Go to Italy, go to other places. You find Chinese. Even go to America, there's a Chinese town there. Because there's a government that has a systematic policy of using the taxes that they are collecting from their people and investing the taxes in their people. Why is it not possible for government to tax us and invest those taxes in us, so that we can do things for ourselves, get people, build business people deliberately? Because you see, if you want to develop your country, you need to deliberately build business people. People cannot come out of nowhere and then become the kind of business people that you have in Elon Musk and others. You need to have the right environment, the right atmosphere to be able to rise above the normal, to build businesses. Then when you are doing your business, you can be appropriately taxed. Because the environment had been created for you. When we created Free Zone in Ghana, the intention is to get people to invest in there. And then once they have invested, they can export. But what was our focus? Our focus is to create that business ambience for persons who are non-Ghanaians. So the idea was that you need to look for a foreign direct investment without necessarily creating that atmosphere that allows a Ghanaian to be able to build his own indigenous business so that when he exports, he can repatriate the profit back into the country. Then you can strengthen your currency, you can strengthen your economy. But we allowed people to invest from outside, and then we gave them a tax because they are not indigenous businesses. They invest when the period for the tax holiday is about ending, then they quickly divest their investment or move out of the country because that incentive is no longer there. If we are giving those incentives to Ghanaians, I'm sure we will have better opportunities to have Ghanaians investing in our country, employing Ghanaians. Once they are able to export, which was our focus, they will repatriate the profit back. So it is okay to tax, but what do we use the taxes for? And that's the problem in Kenya today. That yes, Kenya probably is more endowed than Ghana. Kenya has a huge tourism attraction. Tourism alone can give Kenya far more than what we may get in some of our key sectors. But if the orientation for the taxation is not to invest into the people of Kenya, build young people from the university and get them into productive sectors, agriculture and many other productive sectors that will make them self-reliant, and you want to tax the bread that they eat, they won't sit down. And you see, we are going through the same thing because somebody sends you somebody sends you some momo to just buy food. I was just showing something to appear that somebody said he's gotten a job. He only needs 100 Ghana cedis to be able to open a bank account because probably that's a prerequisite to get his wages through that. He doesn't have it. That is how hopeless and useless our young people have become in this country, because we have failed to build indigenous capacity, and we have absolutely relied, even government itself have relied on foreign support. The whole African Union headquarters was gifted to us by China. All of Africa could not come together to build our AU headquarters. We needed China to gift it to us. We have made ourselves so useless as a continent and as a people. And we think that it is okay for individuals to be rich when we get the opportunity to have control over the resources of the state. The first thing we think about is, how do I save so much such that my great-great-great-grandchildren will not have to see poverty? Why is it comfortable for somebody not to mind his child when the child is 18 years and above? Because there's a social net in developed countries that ensures that when the child is 18 years and enters university, he gets student loan, he's able to live in a single room apartment, pay for his rent, because there'll be some menial jobs he may be doing whilst he's in school. When he graduates, he gets a job. If he starts getting a family, he has a mortgage that can give him 2-bedroom house. He may change to 3-bedroom house. When he's retiring, he can sell out and come back and live in a very simple 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom house, if depending on what. So whilst at the peak of his life, he lives in accommodation that suits the situation because he may have children at home. And then once he retires. But here it is when you are retiring that you build an 8-bedroom house. When you are retiring and all your children are not with you, that is when you build 10-bedroom house, 8-bedroom house, you build mansions. And you see, it is around that time that you also get the opportunity to be in politics or to be a chief director. Or so you retire and then you live alone in a very big house, and then you come there and there's nobody there. You are there alone and you feel so lonely. No, because growing up, I understood that the concept for which Nkrumah built Tema was for people to live there and work, and then they retire back to their villages. Normally, what people do when they retire is to go to their village and do some small cottage farm and have life on the farm, be with their people. But people retire and they stay in Tema. Sometimes they live very miserable, lonely life in Tema and Accra, and they are not able to go back to their villages. But they build some useless mansion that they don't need. Because it is one apartment, one big house, they can also not rent out because you cannot share your living room with your tenants when you rented it out. So the lifestyle, our psyche, our mentality feeds into the underdevelopment that we experience as a people. And you see, when leadership is unable to think into a future of making life more comfortable for the youth, it becomes a problem. When you decide to drive to the north, look at all these arable lands that we have. It's just like driving from Leeds to Manchester. You find a lot of land, but they are used for the land. So you probably find a place for grazing, and you find cattle grazing, and it is very green. The whole place is fenced. Today, you have Fulani herdsmen heading their cattle into people's farm and destroying them because we have not been able to properly. We have land use and spatial planning authority in Ghana that have not been able to do a simple plan, even for us to have places where cattle may graze, and you have places where and because when you do a proper spatial plan, even for your farmland, and you have places where you say, look, this place is no-go area for mining and all, and you've done a proper spatial plan for your agricultural activity, you can have young people taken into those fields to go into farming and being supported with inputs. And now we are farming with technology. And they can farm with technology. You can link your farm to the market, and people will be able to buy your product. In the US, we went to one of their, auctioning for fish. The fisherman only comes to dump the fish. He knows how much fish is landed, and he goes away. Okay. It's the job of the auctioneer to now sell the fish. So, you see, the challenge is not so much about the taxes. The challenge is about where the people find themselves in, and so the taxes have become a trigger. And they have defiled political interest to, look, we are all in it. The same thing happened in Tunisia. When one young man decided to put fire on himself, and it caught fire in the whole of Tunisia.
Thank you very much, Register, for your submission. I think you found a way of connecting the dots. Ghana, Kenya, and the continent. Splendid submission. Okay, viewers, I apologize for that. My receiver fell, so yeah. But okay, let me just put it somewhere here. Okay, so Lawyer Piadankwa, if you read on the key causes of the riot in Kenya, largely some aspects of it have been covered by Honorable and Register, right? But for the purposes of better education, I think we need to expand them further. And I would respectfully, I mean, I'm sure you're going to look at it from different perspectives, but also in your analysis, if you can also look at some of the specifics which have been outlined. One of such is economic hardship. And if you read, it said Kenya has been facing economic challenges, including high inflation, unemployment, and high cost of living. The introduction of new taxes and increase in prices of essential goods and services further exacerbated the situation. 2. Government policies. The government's decision to impose new taxes include a hike in value-added tax and a 15% tax on betting was met with resistance from the public. Many felt that the measures would worsen their economic situation. Then police brutality. During the protest, the police responded with force, using tear gas, rubber bullets, and live ammunition, which resulted in injuries and fatalities. The excessive force further fueled the anger and frustration among the protesters. 4. Political tensions. There were also underlying political tensions with some opposition groups and civil society organizations accusing the government of authoritarianism and suppressing dissent. 5. Frustration with the president. President William Ruto's government had promised economic relief and reforms, but the measures implemented were seen as inadequate or counterproductive, leading to widespread disillusionment and anger. And Ruto has not been in power for even the first term. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's true.
And the people are already demanding that you deal with the very things that you said you were going to deal with when given the opportunity. Council, let me allow you go through them one after the other, if you may.
I'm not sure like that too. What I'll try. I'm not sure like that. But I must commend my two co-panelists and yourself. I like the way you preside over the deliberations. So far, what was my very two solid submissions I want to align with, and puts a very huge burden on me. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure about that, but let me soldier on. For me, what is on trial here is democracy in Africa. Because what is happening in Kenya is happening across so many other places in Africa. And why am I saying that what is on trial is democracy? Because I've said it on this platform so many times that we have failed to deliver on the promises of democracy. We have failed. And briefly, let me give you a background. Now, at the advent of the 19th century, the world had been plagued with a number of revolutions, which then made a very strong case for why democracy was the best system of governance to deliver on our needs. And what our needs? Our needs are simple. We need a stable environment, politically, security-wise, where the talent God has given us, has granted us, we will be in the best position to make economic gains of. Now, you see, beyond the fact that democracy can give you some form of security and all, because we should recall that around the 17th century, a number of philosophers, as in the people we call social contractors, had made a strong case against the feudal system being practiced in Europe, and how that feudal system was inimical to the ability of the individual people of Europe to make the best of their lives, of their talents. You can talk about Montesquieu, you can talk about John Locke, you can talk about Hobbes, when they said the man in his natural state, life in his natural state is brutish and short. And so you needed a system, or we are all sovereign, and that there was a need for us to create a system where we give our powers to an authority, then to provide that system that will best protect our lives, our liberties, so that we can then pursue our individual happiness. That's the promise of democracy. You understand? And so after, I'm talking about the advent of the 18th century, where at the advent, France had gone through a very brutal French Revolution. Kings and people in that feudal system, the apex of the feudal system, had lost their heads. Now this argument culminated in two world wars, which essentially were fought to protect democracy. Because essentially the First World War, one of the benefits of the First World War and the Second World War was to secure democracy as the best system of governance. Yeah, you understand? And so you could, after the Second World War, and the Second World War had come on the back of a crash in the European economies, they realized that they needed to take serious steps to then deliver consistently on the promise of this democracy. Now, what did they do? So America, which had come out of the Second World War as the most powerful nation in this world, gave to Europe what we call the Marshall Plan. And they themselves, under President Eisenhower, who was the general who led them to, also then did two main things: to implement what we called the Small Business Act, which created a small business agency, and also to undertake a radical infrastructural development, the Autobahns. Because to create that environment where we'll be put in the situation to best realize our individual dreams, you, the government, and like Resta said, you need to use the power, your power that you have in governing. And what's those powers? One, the power of policy, to the power of fiscal, when I say fiscal here, your power to raise money and the power to spend, and three, monetary policy. Because essentially, you need to create that right political environment. Now, what that right economic environment. What that right economic environment means that you need to create a system where inflation can be held. You need to create a system where, because in modern times trade is huge, and that you need to create a system where you can have a stable currency. You understand? You need to create a system where there will be an increase in economic activity, because that's the only way where you can have that stability that you require for individual dreams and aspirations, for innovation, for enterprise to strive. Now, so when I say that we failed on the promise of democracy, we failed in creating that system. We failed in political authority has failed in creating that system. And so what Ruto is going through is not entirely because of Ruto. It is because after we gained independence in Africa here, leadership has consistently failed to create that system where it will be easy for our economic dreams and aspirations to be met. I mean, how many of your friends don't you know? People, I'm sure you are 1,000 times more talented than them, but who had the opportunity to go to, let's say, the USA or to Europe, and they are doing so well? It's not because they are better than you, but because they are in the right environment where their abilities, their potential can sprout easily, easier than we can. You get the picture. Now, that is why, for me, we are at a stage. In fact, if you watch football, it's like squeezy Bambi time, like the 89th minute when you are losing 1-0. You understand? We are at that stage. And the burden is not just on the politicians. You said something to today. You see, that burden is not just on the politicians. Because when you take a Ghana story and the promise of democracy, as has been captured in the directive principles of state policy, where we've been advised as to the kind of considerations we should have when taking decisions. And the fact that the first group of people who are taxed in that decision-making process is the people of Ghana. Because we are the first people. You see, that the duty, the burden to build the country is not just on the politicians, but it starts from the people of Ghana. Because we should remember that we are a republic. And that decision starts with how we vote and the reasons why we vote for who we vote for.
Look at the of the Constitution.
Yeah, you understand. And that burden also means that we need to understand the system we are running. Because for crying out loud, Kwame, we don't vote for political parties. We don't vote for political parties. For the system, because you see, we need to understand the system we are running. We are running an executive system, which means so much power and authority has been given to the president. So much authority. You understand? Now the question is how before you make a decision, what plan, what program is the people standing? What have they told you? And what's the ability of those programs to solve the problems we have dealt with? Because coming this Kenya issue, we must let people understand, is because they have signed on to an IMF program. It's as simple as that. And the IMF program is demanding, you understand, that they increase their revenue mobilization efforts. Because we went to the IMF for the 17th time. And for all the times we've been to IMF, the issues are the same. For me, what it tells me is that there's a fundamental issue within our economy that needs serious solving. It's not a usual, everyday, how we usually handle our issues. We need a plan that will solve our issues. Now talking about tax, you see, whenever tax issues arise, you understand, and I'll do quickly with the economic one, then we'll go to the political one and all the other ones. So whenever tax issues arise, let's try and break it down. For the two of us, we're all lawyers and we have business people here, so do understand. Now, you need capital to make or to undertake projects. Government needs capital to undertake all the projects, the many projects they want to undertake. And we know that generally all capital, all money can be divided into either what? Equity or debt. All money is either equity. So equity is money that is your own. Either equity or debt. Now, usually you think about debt when your equity is not enough to aid you to undertake the projects you need to undertake. You understand? Now, also, mind you, we are a developing nation. So what do you mean that the extent to or the extent of the project government needs to do is huge because we are a developing nation. Okay, now what constitutes government's equity? The number one equity for government is tax. Because tax constitutes money that government would not need to pay for. And so government will only think about borrowing if it does not have enough equity to undertake the projects that it needs to take. Now, every businessman will tell you, I'm glad Mr. is here, he was a solid businessman. Money, by businessman, but you see what we need to understand is that money is created. You create money. You must have the skill to create money. Now, if you're a government, how do you, first of all, to create money, you need to understand where money is coming from. For you, a government, where does your money come from? Your money comes from your businesses. You understand? Now, the money that we pay as payee, business one, they will only come across when you have huge businesses who then create the employment. Then you also get your payee. So what it should tell you is that the fundamental source of your money as government is from your businesses, your enterprises. So if you're government and you need to create money, what do? All these beautiful economies, we think they are making so much money. They are making the money because essentially they've deliberately created or aided these businesses to be strong enough to make, because we should understand how much corporate tax does the government of Ghana take? About 25%. Yeah. I think it's even gone up.
Yeah, it's gone up. Right?
So you understand? So what it simply means is that for every business in Ghana, the government of Ghana has a stake in it. Yeah. So also, see, for us, we shouldn't even suffer because we have the benefit of so many countries, their stories, to just copy from. So you take America, powerful America, and America didn't become this economic powerhouse, as in this explosion of wealth, until they deliberately created the Small Business Act, which then created the Small Business Agency. Now, what do they do? So what that agency does is that, and you find them in every district in America. They is an agency whose job is to give institutional support to small and medium scale enterprises. That's their job. So you go to them, small SME, they help you in terms of your corporate, but you also need, you the business, you also need a level of corporate governance environment to be able to grow well. So they give you that support. But beyond that, the air that every business breathes is money. And we know that our banks, that intermediary system that we created to give, usually wouldn't want to support SMEs because of the risk factors associated with them. So what do? The Small Business Act facilitates the grants of capital through what we call loan guaranteeing schemes. Loan guaranteeing schemes. So basically they give the loan guaranteeing schemes to the banks. Then the banks are in the position then to unleash the liquidity that these businesses need to survive. So if at the end of the day we are having issue with our ability to raise revenue, there are two issues. One, do we have enough businesses who are making enough monies from which government can then take their tax? And two, government itself, what is the strength of your institutions to optimize revenue mobilization? Now, because they don't want to deal with those problems, and because of the lack of integrity in our system, and people see political position as a means to make money for themselves, and that's why I've been outraged with Brian Champo's issue, because we need to change the political culture in this country. People need to understand that when you've put yourself in public position. You are in a position of trust, and you are there to serve. We need to change that culture. You understand? Because if our politicians understand that they are there to solve and create that environment for businesses to thrive, as in for total good governance, which will ultimately lead to a strong economy, because then you'll be solving these issues too. Then we won't have a situation where people start questioning democracy. Because what the demonstration yesterday was to, and there's a reason why they went to parliament. It's not just, you see, it's very significant. It's not just about voting. Because whenever they've been uprising all over the world, usually the place they go to is parliament. Because that is where we find that representative government system which represents democracy.
Now, let's go into the minds of the demonstrators. And I agree to a very large extent when you give a background, which finds expression in democracy, and how democracy can help shape the fortunes of the people.
It should, it should.
So, I mean, let's go into the minds of the people, right? And I'm going into the minds of the people, particularly because of how we conduct ourselves here in Ghana, especially when some of these issues come up. You recall that we also had a betting tax, and our attitude to it. You recall that recently there were some increment in taxes, and the attitude of the Ghanaian to it, and how people have been displaying opulence and our attitudes to it. Right now, let's look at the Kenyan youth and their mindset. Now, as it is today, now they are not, and in Ghana, the thing you said, I said 4 years, let's wait for 4 years, right? But between now and the 4 years, there are events which are happening, which events are at complete variance with the promises which were made to you by the person who sought to lead you, when they were campaigning. Now, are we saying that we should resign ourselves and fold our arms and wait for the 4 years before we go and vote? Or within that period, we are allowed of some maybe way to express ourselves through other means other than just going to vote, right? To demonstrate our displeasures and to put the feet of government to fire of responsibility. Now, the Kenyan youth is saying, I won't wait for 4 years. Because 4 years is such a long time. By which time, I will be dead. I have now to question government and its policies, right? And especially so when you are taxing betting systems. If you read further, they say that this is our only means of survival. Already, we are suffering. The only way we are able to make small money to be able to take care of ourselves and our family is through the tax betting. And you are also taxing betting. You are not providing jobs, and we have found a way of survival, and you are also sealing that. So let's look at the mindset.
Mr. Kwame, we've had this conversation before. Now, the mindset of the youth in Kenya isn't different from the mindset of the youth in Ghana.
So what is it then?
No, listen, it's not different.
Okay.
You understand? Now, it's just a question of how long somebody can hold on to a certain situation. Because I can foresee and I can see clearly what is happening in Kenya, happening in Ghana. But it's happening because of a number of reasons. I had a certain conversation with you on this platform about democracy, about the fact that we are practicing a third of democracy. That there are a lot of key questions. So like an MP, who does he represent? Does he represent his party? Does he represent the people? Because why did the youth in Kenya storm parliament? Because they didn't believe that the people they've put there to go and represent their interests will have their interest or will find expression of their interest in the way their MPs were going to vote. It's a huge issue. If you are MP, who do you represent? And the people start seeing you, the MP, as not representing their views, but instead representing the views of your political party. It takes away the trust, the confidence that the people you are representing have in you. You understand? Also, why do we have a parliament in the first place? Is it the job of parliamentarians to be doing it? Because their most important job is to give oversight. You understand? Because that's the only way you can sustain this constitutional democracy, is where parliament is seen to be limiting the powers of government. But what system have we created? The system we've created here, does it reflect the kind of constitution the people of Ghana took? And what will happen if the people then lose full confidence in the ability of parliament, in the institutions we've created, to grant that oversight of the executive? Because they're also complaining about Ruto's authoritarian government. But how is Ruto able to be authoritarian if we have a parliament? Or we just didn't put parliament there? And then I'm just making Kwame. And also,
I'll let you have it.
and Kwame also, see, when you define democracy, it's not just power of the people, but it's also power by the people. You understand? And so immediately you do, or you practice democracy like we are practicing here, I believe it's not true democracy. It's just power of the people. And so our participation in it is just when we vote, and after that it's about you put your hands in your demifa and waiting for another 4 years. You understand? So what is
participating in the exercise?
And that's why I'm saying that the first decision when we are going to vote should be taken seriously. Now, when you take the people who claim they want to be president, what programs are they rolling out to give you true democracy? Because we can only have true democracy if we have a truly decentralized system. Ghana, we don't have a decentralized system. We shouldn't deceive ourselves. We just have some DCE. But in terms of the fiscal policy, in terms of town, because we have town halls. Because, see, if we had truly decentralized local government, then you have a system where within your locality, let's say Okanakwe South, within that small locality, you have governance which even includes your independence to bring about development. You understand? So you've broken down the governance into small, let's say, districts. But Kwame, we are practicing a sham of democracy. And because we are practicing a sham of democracy, in whichever way you look at it, be it our economic aspirations, we are unable to deliver on the promises. Because government, in how it uses its powers, fiscal policies and all, are not using it to create that environment where businesses will thrive, from where government will then get the taxes they need. Because if governments they're able to tax a lot of people, then there'll be their recourse where they clearly don't have not been able to raise enough expenditure, will not to be increasing and creating useless taxes. Whereas we have sex tax. If you go and play with your wife or your kancheba, they'll tax you. Because government has failed to create that environment where businesses will sprout too. When you talk about the political aspirations per our constitution, and there's a reason why our constitution says that you must have a truly decentralized system. A truly decentralized system. Because unless and until you have a truly decentralized system, then there's no way you're going to include the people in the democracy. So you have a government which is also by the people. You understand? So then the minute that happens, then the people will lose confidence when things are not going well, because they are not a part of it, and they think that their only recourse is to wait until 4 years to vote. And the sort of, so am I going to enjoy this for another 3 years, another 4 years? Then the only recourse will be to attack the very democracy that we took upon ourselves. And that's what I'm saying, that if you study all these uprising issues, and not just in Africa, even outside Africa, so you go to the USSR when the Soviet Union was breaking down, it is very instructive that the place they always attack is Parliament, because Parliament is where we think we have that representative government. So if Parliament is failing in its core duties, or if we lose confidence in the ability of Parliament to fulfill its mandate, then what do we have? Okay. Then it pretends for, and that's why I'm saying that for me, because Ghana, we are on the brink. And that's why I'm saying that, but that brink, on our face right now, so you have it back. And that's why I'm saying that when we are going to vote, we should take our time. Monday, we had the chance of this book, this great transformation plan, which deals with, and listen, I know sometimes we joke, because we think that it's not about my interest. It's about finding a leader who is attempting to solve all these issues. Who is bringing about a program that deals like with the decentralization issue? Who is saying that, listen, let's tackle the decentralization issue and make it real? Who is like this issue about this economy issue? I just spoke about the SME. What is government strategy at really using its power of policy, its power of fiscal policy, to find a way of building up and boosting SMEs, because that's the surest way of job creation.
We'll come to all of that.
No, Kwame, just one last just one last thing.
Okay.
Now what we are saying is that what prevents government from saying that, listen, the banks in Ghana, now there's a regulation that says that before I renew your license, prove to me that you are going to give 10% of your what's called profit after tax. You are going to use that to grant facilities and financial facilities to our SMEs before we give you a license. Government has so much power, so much ability to deliver on its promises. Unless they do it, then what they are doing is they are undermining the very democracy we think is the best form of governance that can protect all of our interests. And that's exactly what is at stake here.
Great submission by all Sanders. But also ponder over, and all of you ponder about, when I talk about the mindset of the people, I'm also looking at it from a symbiotic relationship between partisanship and the mindset which hinders execution. Especially when we know that we are faced with some of these things which can easily be avoided.
Yeah.
But because of our deep love, deaf-defying support for our political political interest of parties and interest.
But Richard raised that issue and said that he doesn't understand. And that's not all false with him. He doesn't understand why anybody should think that I serve my party.
Yeah.
And really, the people who benefit directly from their party, from a president who belongs to their party, won't constitute more than 200,000.
Because
and yet, in the decision, and yet, I was talking about the decision, the first decision being the decision of the people.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's not people because how can you say somebody like Dr. Baumia, you vote for that only, and most of them when you speak to them
only because they're MPP.
Only because I'm MPP. What program is he putting forward that will solve? And you see, the certain is that when you go and vote somebody like Dr. Baumia, I bet you within 3 months, 4 months, we'll find ourselves in a similar situation, and that's what I'm saying. The first decision, we shouldn't be the people of Ghana. We shouldn't think that we are not part of the problem. In my view, we are the major part of the problem. You understand? We are the major part of the problem because we are the ones who have enabled the politicians to give us the Koshoko leadership. They consistently give us because they know that, I'm MPP, I'm Ashanti, when I go, don't vote for me. Whether I'm a Stone or I'm NDC, when I go to voter region, don't vote. No! There is a reason why we give them power. And we give them so much power. And that power is to be used by them to create a system where the true strands of democracy, which is not just power of the people, but power that includes us, power that is being used for our benefit, can be realized. Until we do that and until we take that job seriously, then what is happening in Kenya will easily happen here.
Well, thank you very much. Keodi, you look nice in your outfit. God bless you. Kwame, the way you moderate your programs reminds me your contribution in my social studies class. You have handled yourself very well. Great guests. Greet your guests for me. I thank each one of them for their beautiful contributions. But Kwame, remember, I'm retiring this year. God bless us all. Good morning to you, Mr. Odro, my JSS teacher. You are watching me this morning, and thank you very much for also shaping the path. Honorable, let me come to you. I think that Mr. Apia-Dankwa has looked at the issue from varied perspectives. So let me. You want to respond? Not respond necessarily, but you want to contribute.
Exactly. So I wanted to respond to his, comparison of the Kenyan youth and that of Ghana. Bearing in mind that we are going through a similar situation as the Kenyans are. I think that the Kenyan youth are not really angry enough compared to the Kenyan youth. Because if you look at the Kenyan situation, right after 5 months into the president's rule, after taking over, then the people turned against his government, him.
They didn't
wait.
You made promises, fulfill it, that's all.
They didn't turn against his government. They didn't turn against his government.
What did they do?
They demanded for the government to do what
he promised.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
But I agree. No. I agree to some extent because hold on. They turn against him. It means like, for instance, you are MPP. and then you have turned against your party.
Yes,
so
no, they voted
semantics.
They voted on issues.
We are
demanding
semantics. Yeah, but so it's NDC.
So that is what
NPP votes for Akufo-Addo, but NPP people are saying that Akufo-Addo, Charlie, we have turned against you because you've not fulfilled the promise.
But we are talking about
but you remember we all agree that Ruto is not coming from the.
Yeah, we agree. That's what
yes, we agree. I think in my earlier submission, I made that point. That
so
it's
they
not coming from
against
any of the
so they
big
voted
tribes.
on issues, so they are demanding responses.
Yes, I agree with you. I think in my earlier submission, I made a point that the president of Kenya is not coming from one of the biggest tribes in the country. Where in Ghana, like we have the Ashantis, and my friend talked about the fact that there are also the Ewes, and when you come from a particular tribe, you are untouchable because you win by all means when you get to represent your party. Now, in Kenya, 5 months after his election, when he started to tax them, including taxing bread and flour and oil, then the people turned against him. Yeah. They didn't have the time to wait. You understand? For a year or 2 or 3, as we find ourselves in Ghana. Yeah. Again, if you look at the demonstration happening in Kenya right now, Kenya has about 47 provinces. The demonstration is taking place in 35 of the provinces. So it is across the country. Yeah, it is not only it is not only in the capital city.
Yeah,
and that tells you how angry the people are.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you compare that to Ghana, we made a point that the biggest demonstration that happened in the history of this country was the Kumi Preku, and it happened only in Accra. We have never had a situation where simultaneously the whole country is engulfed by demonstrators on the streets where the government cannot contain. We are not angry enough in this country. The reason why is that, look, even with the e-levy that we fought in Parliament, if you realize that Ghanaians were not so much angry, they were looking up to the minority in Parliament to fight their fight. Why couldn't Ghanaians mobilize and come on the street and fight against it? But only was dependent on the minority MPs to fight it. We are not angry enough. The only time I heard the downtrodden, the masses on the ground was when government attempted to task also betting in this country. Then you realize that the youth were now talking. You could hear them on the ground now speaking.
It's an issue of they're angry.
Yes.
It's an issue of temperament. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. But you see, because the reason why governments behave with reckless abandon is because they feel that
and that's what scares
they can do it and get away with it.
Liberia. Liberia faced massive misrule for a century. Yeah. You understand? It took a very long time to respond. When the people responded, and I'm saying, you see, we're all different people because there are some. In fact, naturally, it's not that we may be angry.
But we need to.
It's about not angry.
We need to also take the political dynamics into consideration. Yeah. In Kenya, it's been one party for a very long time, even though there's been different faces.
Yeah.
In Ghana, people, there'll be 8 years. We will change you if you don't behave well.
And yes.
So you see, there's that people have.
You see, but you are not appreciating. Okay, you appreciate it. But maybe the extent of the analysis from Apia Dankwa's perspective is what maybe you must consider. Because you see, it is not so much about the fact that we have to wait for 4 years to vote. It's also about including yourself in that exercise. That's why he says that from the very beginning to the middle to the end, you must be involved. And so that when you find that Parliament, that's supposed to be the representatives of the people, are not performing their functions according to how they're supposed to, then the people must intervene.
You see, we need to understand that right from school, people become politically hypnotized.
Agreed.
With this TESCOM and thing.
I agree with you.
You understand? Even the nukes
is not partisan. I agree.
So, and you see, across all levels, people who find themselves in one leadership or the other seem to be enjoying some lagars.
Yes, I agree.
So the leadership
of the young people that will push the agenda. Even Trade Union Congress today is not biting.
I agree.
You don't have the system to mobilize.
Yeah, because the answer to this question, or rather position that you've taken, is in the response that was given by all the analysis that was advanced by Apia Dankwa, where it says that because people are overly partisan because they think that they do not necessarily have a role to play after elections.
Yeah.
That is why we are here. And so the conversation is not so much about what my role is in the governance process, but what my role is at the time of voting. That is what it is. But so we must begin to elevate the conversation and move it to a point where people will now see beyond the peripheries of their political affiliations, but also into the arena of my involvement in that exercise.
Let me give you a little example.
Please do.
If we live in a country where my child is writing BEC next week,
and you have no pay,
and WAEC comes to say that the government owes me, so that is a threat to the BEC.
And we are sitting down,
and parents in Ghana,
and there is the time the government
parents in Ghana. But the question is why?
It's not about hippie. That's what I'm saying. That I'm very scared because you see we are different temperaments. As in, I have a friend.
Maybe we are slow to act.
Ghanaians Ghanaians are naturally. No, as in, if you and I'm sure before, if you meet that your typical Eastern African, and they are not as docile in a way like we are. That's what I'm saying, that the anger is there, Annabelle. The anger is there, and usually the way we are, the day we explode, the way Ghanaians explode,
it will be crazy.
It will be crazy, and they are getting there. Yeah, you understand? They are getting, because and you said something. You said something. Yeah, I think so. I'm so sure about that. And there's something you said in your submission about the people find themselves in a state of hopelessness. Yeah, you get the picture. Now we are. You see, last time I had on a Thursday show, we spoke about why is there no or a lack of euphoria going into the 2024 election. But we are getting to a stage where people are losing faith and confidence in this system that we have created to deliver for them, because they are not asking much from government. Just create an environment where my small wisdom, but because of the way we are. Because the anger, if you go around, if you go around, and for me, and that's what I fear, and that's what I was talking about, the Liberian example, that when we finally explode, when the people explode, and that's why I'm saying that we are in a squeezy Bambi time. Now I was talking about squeezy Bambi time. So the 2024 election is really critical. If you don't choose a leader that has real solutions, I bet you, if you don't find a leader who has real solutions,
after 2024, it will be disastrous.
If you don't find,
but let me come to Mr. I think that he's been silent for a while. Now, so the dynamics, we are doing some comparative analysis, right? And clearly all of us are in complete agreement that given the way we conduct ourselves in this country, particularly with our governance process and structure and our involvement even as a people in that whole exercise, right, is one that for me, it doesn't bolster any confidence for me that we are going to get some immediate responses to the plight to our challenges, right? Now, Lawyer Apia Dankwa is saying, we are slow, but eventually it will get there. In fact, he even dreads that we are almost there, right? But I think that there's no justification for waiting when you are not receiving that which we were promised. And you see, for instance, this Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration, right, it's been here for 7 years. And within that 7 years, there have been different challenges. Which challenges we've looked on unconcerned and we've not responded or reacted to them, right? So are we ready for real development and real change? And you conclude on that and then we'll move on to the next one, because I now want us to look at what the president has been saying, captured by the Republic Press, where the president says we are on economic recovery track. Economic recovery is on track. And I want to understand why the president is saying there's our economic recovery is on track. So
respond to this quickly, and then we'll come to this issue.
Let me probably run through it because I may not have the opportunity again looking at it.
You will. What's the time? No. So hold on. Then let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on. Let me read it. Okay. No. So when you are answering, but let me read a few messages. I promised the viewers that today. Oh, Charlie, when you're having fun, that's it. But important, brilliant submissions. Trust me. Hi, I'm watching you from Pram Pram. I'm so in love with the discussion this morning. I know revolution is not an option because it will jeopardize our state of serenity. I think we should seize all their ministers and government appointees' properties and convert them into governmental uses. It's very sad to see myself as a Ghanaian at this time around. Very sad. You didn't add your name, but I thank you so much for your submission. Brilliant one. Your message, brilliant. This one says, good morning to you, Pan-African Television. My greeting to the human, most resourceful person, Uncle Hosipra, most intelligent person, outstanding personality in Ghana. Uncle Hosipra, you are a great man, and I'm studying you as a program, but I haven't gotten a lecturer who really has the knowledge to teach. Yeah, okay. Abdul Aziz Butterfly sent in this one. Maybe he belongs to your butterfly. Okay, the gentleman says his name is Safo from Pram Pram. Thank you very much, Safo, for your message. This one says, good morning to you, Kwame. In fact, what is happening in Kenya is very scary. The remembrance of the dead is enough warning to the living. Gibu from Techima sent in this one. Thank you very much, Gibu. This one says, KOD. One of the constitutional reforms that can help a lot is to give the mandate to the party and not the president. That's what he's saying. So that the president can always be changed by the party if not performing well. We are practicing a hybrid system, so it is doable. Richard from the UK sent in this one. Thank you very much. This one, you see, instead of sending a message, you are calling. This one also says, good morning. The Kenya situation is a wake-up call to the Ghanaian youth. We are timid and careless about our situation. This one is from Ima. Thank you very much, Ima, for your message this morning. From Ms. Bao from Ejura says, good morning to you, Lawyer KOD. The issue in Kenya is justified in every respect. The current trends of selfless and patriotic governance in Burkina, Mali, and Niger is serving as a yardstick and revolution for many African youth. You see, when you call me like this, you are disturbing me. I therefore suggest that our political class in Ghana should start doing things right before we revolt against them. We are becoming wiser. Thank you, lawyer. Thank you very much for your sensible message this morning. Please, it says, good morning to you and your panelists. I want to beg you to use your platform to, okay, I don't understand the message. Dramani from Salaga, if you can resend it, I'll be very happy. Yakusi says from Tadi says MPP corruption is now a property ideology party. As we speak, cantonment government lands have been sold, Teshi shooting range sold, children's park in Accra sold, Tadi housing. We will resist it with all the force and the might that we have. That, in fact, it's another topic that I want us to discuss. But let's finish with Akufo-Addo, and I will beg my producers if they can grant me some latitude, maybe some 20 minutes more, so that we can discuss the land grabbing in Ghana, state capture in Ghana. So please, producers, today dear, I'll call my CEO, Amma Pratt, and I'll plead with her that she should give us some small latitude. Economic will grow on track. Let me start serious that. You'll be also great for me. It's a point I have to run away. Chief of mischief. No, because these topics are very important. Yeah, so Amma will agree.
Amma should agree.
Amma has agreed. Yeah, what is that?
No, is it? No, there was something I needed to respond to, and then.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
about how slow we are. Yeah, the youth in building.
We are not slow. We are coming from an experience of a revolution in 1979, where persons whose experience have told them about the far-reaching consequences of the 1979 revolution and the impact it's had on people. So it's made people to be a bit more cautious when they are doing things. And that revolution is probably more serious than what we are seeing happening in Kenya today. And nobody wants to have that experience because you wouldn't know whether you'll be in the line of fire when that revolution comes. So parents who knew about it keep cautioning. And you see, people have even lived with the fallout from the revolution till this day, such that they are averse to certain names and parties. And so that situation is made some people a bit timid. It's gotten a lot of people to decide to sit on the fence. It's gotten even institutions like Bar Association and others to be fair, not to take some positions that they need to take when some issues come up. So that history that we have as a country informs the way people do things, because people do not want to trigger anything that will get the military to come in and say, well, we want to take over. Everybody fear for the West should the military decide to come in. And that is what is bringing that cautious approach to dealing with it. The second issue also has to do with the extreme partisan position we've taken, so that persons have been so conscientized that everything about MPP is good and everything about NDC is good. And that's why I'm saying that we've done it so well such that even within the student body politics, on campuses you have TANE and TESCON defending, they leave all their intellectual capacity somewhere and defend things they should not defend and criticize things they should not criticize. Today, if Nooks is going for election, we used to see Nooks running press conferences criticizing government. Like I'm saying, we're talking about BEC exams, and you've not heard Nooks of all institutions asking government to pay. You've not heard TUC, you've not heard the National Teachers Association of Ghana, you've not heard parents. So it tells you the state in which people have gotten into, where it looks like everybody is throwing their hands in, we can't do it. And what people are pursuing now is how to take their children out of the country. So now the new agenda is, well, the country has gotten to a hopeless point. If I have the opportunity to send my child to UK, Germany, Canada, US, and people will do anything, sell their property, do anything, just to send their children out of the country because they feel that there's no hope, there's no future in this country. And this is not good. Seriously, this is so bad for us. And you see, when you have a country that is going on that trajectory, and then you say we are recovering economically, it becomes a problem. I was in a program and I asked somebody, do we account for the cost of environmental degradation to our GDP? At some point, it stood around 10% per the World Bank. 10% negative, when I say it means negative 10% to GDP, environmental degradation. And it's getting worse by the day. We are destroying our water bodies. And when we destroy our water bodies, me, I'm a fisherman. So what I will tell you is that once we destroy our water body, we lose all our fishery contribution to our economy. It impacts food security. It means that younger people who may have fish farm and other things in some parts of the country or the periphery will now, because once they are unable to do galamsey anymore, they may want to find space within the urban or the peri-urban centers. So now pressure comes to mount on the urban centers, and so cost of living go high, rent will go high, food prices will go high because the demand on these things will go high. Now people, because they may be living in shanty towns, may now want to illegally connect to electricity. Water supply to the area may not be enough, and so you have a lot of challenges. And you don't build your economy when all you continue to do is to build shanty towns. But when you are building shanty towns, you are increasing the rate of criminality. And you see, as a people, we are not thinking about these things. We feel it's okay now. Basically, all the political parties thinking about how do we win votes in the Zongo areas, in the Shanti areas, because we feel these are fertile grounds where a lot of people reside, and we don't care about the quality of life that exists there. What we care about is that let's mobilize around these people. Let's take advantage of the low lives that they have. Let's win their votes. Let's get their support, and let's get into power. But when we get into power, we don't think about how to come back and improve that quality of life that those people. You don't tell me that this is a road to recovery. Look at, we have Saglemen houses sitting there. Whatever the challenge is, for 7 years we've not been able to resolve the challenge and move people to occupy the Saglemen housing. And when people do not have good shelter, good accommodation, you cannot say your economy is recovering. People say we are building affordable houses. If somebody earns 2,000 Ghana cedis a month and pays a rent of 1,200, 1,500 Ghana cedis, how much is left for as disposable income for the person to spend? What quality of life when your rents are going high by the day, and there's basically no control? There's no way anybody is managing. Everybody is doing everything because we believe we are living in a free economy. We keep borrowing. Yes, the World Bank has, the IMF has given us some reprieve because the IMF, but the amount of money the IMF is giving us in this $3 billion are monies we can generate internally. Why do we have to go and struggle with IMF and beg for a peanut when we have all these resources? When there are individuals in this country, there's a 34-year-old boy who can bid for $200 million to buy Smith hotels. 34-year-old. It's not a sportsman for me to say that because he played football, he may have those sign-on contracts and all of that. Even footballers who may not be able to just say that we are raising $200 million to bid for a Smith facility. The challenge is that do we
the son of
Philip Blay, yeah,
the former MVP,
yeah.
chairman, yes.
So the question is, what did he do? Probably in some countries the taxman will go after him to check what taxes he has paid, if he has so much money to be able to pay for hotels. Not just the taxman, a lifestyle audit on him to know what work he has done in his 34 years to be able to raise that money. You get it? And if we don't do these things, people would always steal and hide behind their booty and that they have looted from the state, and would use the same thing to buy state assets. And that is why it is becoming easier for some people to now want to buy the whole of Accra.
Yeah, they hide behind people like that. Or they are so powerful.
Yeah, but then he says he's buying it. So let's see how he's raising the money to buy it. Because he's not saying that he's building a consortium of resourceful people to be able to buy the hotel. What Fred Blay said is some meeting of 150,000 and then that was rejected for Brenner Champon's 60 bid. So you see, there's an internal fight in there, and that is what is exposing some of these things. And now that Kujato Abako is asking for a full disclosure of all the bids and all of that, I hope that is granted. I hope they don't come under some security.
Purchase the hotel through his son.
Exactly. I mean, those questions like
So that's what I'm saying, that you now need to conduct a lifestyle audit on the son.
Exactly.
Because the person of interest now is not Fred Blay. Yeah. It's Fred Blay's son. He's the person of...
years old.
Yes.
What kind of business can you do?
When did he finish school?
No, you see, sometimes we forget ourselves in the bid to greedily acquire everything, and we say things that commit us, and we say them before we realize that what we have said, because but you see, we also have gotten to a point where people feel, look, nobody can do anything to me. I can say whatever I want to say, nobody will do anything to me. Well, we know in this country, Osafo Mafo said that there was no employment in the public sector for young people. Yeah, he has created positions at NCA and SNIT for his children.
And for today, his son is the chief executive of SNIT.
So there's that level of persons who believe that I am above everything. And that is not good enough for an economic recovery.
Right. Thank you very much, Register. Now, let me come to Honorable, before I end the conversation with Senior Apia Dankwa. The President says Ghana's economic recovery citing, well, the President cited a robust 4.7% growth rate in the first quarter of 2024. This exceeds the IMF forecast of 3.1%. The growth, listen, the growth is driven by a 6.8% expansion in the industrial sector and a 4.1% rise in agriculture. Then the President also highlighted successful debt restructuring efforts, including domestic, external, bilateral, and commercial bondholder negotiations. This has resulted in substantial relief and a projected decrease in the domestic. So it is not as though the President and his people have some magic wand, and it's just that they are just robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's all.
Exactly.
Honorable.
Yes, thank you.
I'm tired, though.
We are all tired. It's not only you alone.
Don't be tired.
We are all tired.
It shouldn't be.
But we are in this together. We're in this together.
We can't afford to be tired.
We have to continue to fight.
The next administration that comes,
if
if they misbehave, we will beat them. We will physically go and beat them.
we should do it. We should start now and not wait until the next administration. That's why I'm saying that Ghanaian youth are not angry enough. Why do we have to wait? Look, if they are angry, what is happening will not be happening. We will not have a president who will only speak without action. Because what they are doing, look, let me even tie it up with what his finance minister recently went to London to say. That we are doing debt restructuring, and therefore they've done better than the previous government, the NDC government. We should clap for them. And that's what the president is repeating over here. In a country where people cannot afford basic things, where food prices are skyrocketing, they are telling us that we are on track to recovery. This is the country that we are talking about. We are talking about a country where ministers are grabbing government properties. Their children are putting higher bids to acquire government companies like SNIT, like what my colleague just talked about. We are talking about a country where ministers are giving over government properties, okay, to acquire them forever. Yet,
And winning them forever. Winning forever.
yes, and yet the people are not angry. Yet the president is saying that we are recovering. Look, I am an MP in a rural constituency where I just came from. There is no fertilizers. Farmers cannot get fertilizers even to buy. Just about 7 years ago, a bag of 50 kilos of fertilizer was sold around about 95 Ghana cedis. Today, it is 500 Ghana cedis, 50 kilos bag of fertilizer. Yet the president is saying that we are recovering. How are we recovering? You go to IMF, I'm coming, you go to IMF and ask for debt restructuring.
Yeah, I was actually going to say something before you come to the IMF bit.
Yes.
You know, a bag of maize.
Yes.
So one bag of maize cannot buy one bag of fertilizer.
Fertilizer, exactly.
Do you understand? So you need 2 bags of maize
to be able to
buy
get one bag of fertilizer.
That's how bad it is.
That's how it is.
Proceed.
All right. So you go to sit in a round table with IMF and negotiate for a debt restructuring. which has to do with extending the time frame to repay and probably lowering the rates, your rates of paying and all of that. And then you come back and congratulate yourselves. In the first place, the question is who accrued the debt? You go around borrowing. You tell us you won't go to IMF, yet you jump to IMF, take all those loans, sign into a program, go back and negotiate with them to say that we cannot pay, so please extend the time for repayment and probably lower the interest rate. Because when they extend the time for payment, the interest rate comes down because you now have a longer time frame to pay. And then you now come back and tell us that we should clap for you because you have done well. What kind of, government is that? So this government will not send us anywhere. It is just the talk, like we are witnessing in Kenya, that the president talks so much, and they started promising us in 2016. Till date, they've gotten power and they are still promising us. A government that cannot afford to pay for its students to write exams. I read a statement by the good old Professor Akila Akpasoya, right, who said that, how would I witness my child sit under a tree at the basic level to study and be given a free senior high school? That is a very, very, very telling statement from the professor, that we have all forgotten that at the basic level it's been neglected, no schools built, no infrastructure improvement. Look, in my constituency, there were gate fund projects that was awarded as far back as 2015. Till date, government has not completed them because they can't get money to pay the contractors. Yet, they are happy that they have given free education. The free education we all know is not free. We have recently the majority leader, Afenyoma, I thought we were going to discuss it, say that the minority is against the free.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't want to reduce it to that gentleman.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense. It is only a propaganda government that will result to this. Because you use the free education to win an election, 2 elections, 2016 and 2020. And now, because you have not delivered, you want to continue in that tangent by talking about free education. The opposition is against it, when in actual fact the opposition is not against, just in order to continue to deceive the people to stay in power. This time, it won't wash.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning to you, Keodi. Please, when are you going to start with your promise of following up the directives and orders of the NIA boss about challenged GH card applicants victim in Techiman? Okay, I don't know whether I made a promise, but I will get the news team on it. Thank you. Brakwame, please, there's no MPP man here. So, okay, I should tell the NPP people that we are coming for them. The way they are treating us, we will show them 2020 batch of nurses. We've been home for 4 years now, and we are over 7,000. Thank you very much. This one says, I salute the youth of Kenya. They don't have empty heads like that of the youth of Ghana. Oh, please don't say that. Don't say that. This one is from Kasapin, Ahafo region. Bill Kuma. The Kenyan president recently came to Ghana for tutorials from our president and went back home to implement what he learned. The result is what is happening in Kenya now. What Africa needs is non-partisan democracy. Is it going to be possible? I don't think so. Hello, good morning to you and your panelists and your viewers as well. What is happening in Kenya is a signal to parliamentarians in Ghana to speak for the ordinary Ghanaian about the hardships we are going through. No jobs, high cost of living and others. But why? Aaron is the name. Thank you. I agree with Alan for the removal of the Council of State Elders. Their functions are so low in Ghana, in Nanado and Baumia government. Good morning to you. David from Sunyane sent in this message. Now, this one also says, Senior, I'll come to you very shortly. I just want to read a little bit of the messages. Oh, where is it? Okay, the thing has even frozen. I don't know why. Okay. Let me see if I can open it. I have. Okay. Good morning to you and your panelists. In fact, the youth who are supposed to know best don't know better. When see them running after Baumia or Mahama praising and defending them all over, I'm always disheartened by and cry inside. This government has been the worst ever to witness in creation. Eliasu Mohammed in Tamale. Thank you very much, Eliasu, for your message. This one is sending me videos and pictures. I don't know why you're sending me videos and pictures, but thank you very much anyway. Good morning to you, champion. A finger of plantain is now 10 Ghana cedis. Now for the last time I bought some for 10 Ghana, one for 10 Ghana cedis, and I could buy only 4 for 40 cedis. Good morning to you. One like this, so 10 cedis. Good morning to you. My humble understanding, discussion, no shouting, but listening to each other as well as one time. These are real gentlemen. The shouting and trying to talk out your fellow panelists frustrates the listener. Ghana needs a second independence. May Allah Almighty intervene. I used to say to Upper West Region, I don't know what you're talking about. You forwarded someone's message to me. Good morning to Pan-African TV and the panelists. Once a panelist on your show made the mention of civil disobedience. It is about time for Ghanaians to start taking a cue from what is happening in Kenya. I pray that our MPs in Kenya get home safely with the endorsement of civil disobedience from Kenya. This one says, good morning to you, KOD and the panelists. I'm watching you guys from Tamale. Your panelists are superb this morning. My able, honorable MP for Bumpurugu, Honorable Abed, is making me proud this morning with his intelligently articulated presentation. I want to take this opportunity to greet him and to tell him that he is the best. From Duke Senior from Tamale. Thank you, Duke Senior, for your message. This one also says, the Kenyan president recently came. Oh, I think I've read your message already as a text message. Kansuk Jackson in Nangpanduru says, good morning to KOD. We seem to be playing over the issues in Ghana, but before we would realize there won't be any Ghana anymore if we do not bare our teeth at this Sakawa brigade, the mother serpent and her children. We will someday say, had we known. Regards to Honorable Abed Jackson from Nangpanduru.
He's my classmate.
Oh, he's your classmate. Oh, fantastic. This one says, good morning to you all. I'm Frank from Kumasi. So what the MPP man is saying is that they want Ghanaians to protest like Kenya before they know that they are stealing from the state. There's no MPP man here, please. Maybe you think you are MPP. Good morning to you, KOD, and your panelists. The fisherman was right. Right on point. Fisherman! When he said that TUC is not biting. You know why? Apart from Secretary General Yaba, personal political leanings, he has been compromised by political intervention that got him off the hook when he was cited for the offense of contempt in court in the case of TUC versus ICU. It's a matter of public record. Kojo Katare Manson Kwanta sent in this one. Please, KOD, you claim you could not read my message, but it is simply that American military are being kicked out of Niger. Okay, our president should not go for money and bring them here. We don't need them in Ghana because they say they will re-establish in West Africa. We shall reject them if they come here. Okay, Dramani Salaga, thank you very much. At least this one is a little clearer, so thank you. Can MPP for once say the truth? Why this announcement that by today the dollar will come down drastically? Will the dollar come down to one digit figure like 4 cedis or 5 cedis? They should give us a break from Ablade, Fiekuma, Zongo, Takra. Hey, Ablade, how are you? Council, take us away.
Let me also add that I can see Mandamu is getting child fans. His suit is also very nice. Let me add. Yeah, so you see, Kwame, we are in a big problem, or we are in big trouble. I know that the trouble is coming to an end, but the trouble has created a huge hole. You see, and the problem is Danado. See, the problem in our democracy is the president. See, and the problem is, some people say that, clearly this president doesn't have a plan, because you are talking about economy recovery, and clearly, I don't know. Kwame, if probably you can educate me. I don't know what policies, what steps he's taking that is causing the economy to recover, because from all indications, we seem to be getting worse. And also to think that our economy still lacks credibility. A lack of credibility that he himself has created with the DDP and all the things that we've gone, and then the international community have agreed to this, that. But the point is, the economy has lost credibility. For me, the issue is why, and you see, it is important that we know why he created this problem for us in the first place, so that when we are making a decision again, we open our eyes wider. I think, you see, the biggest problem we have, and that problem finds expression in how Brian Champo's issue has been handled. You understand? Because if your minister is using his powers to advance this despicably corrupt practice, and all you can say to it is that your Minister of Employment should have a discussion with TUC. Now, that problem also finds expression in the fact that the president will sit down, and then your Minister of Interior can openly say that I'm going to give parliamentary candidates of the NPP 30 slots each in the security service, and the danger that portends for our democracy, because really, if you understand, when you make such, which really undermines our democracy, in the sense that we, like I said, we took the system of governance because we want our liberties protected, we want our rights to property guaranteed, we want our rights to our lives guaranteed, and it is for those reasons why we have security agencies. So immediately you put party apparatchiks there, and the reasons why you appoint people there is not based on merit, but it's based on their partisan considerations. Then you're undermining that process. The same problem is the reason why the president had no qualms appointing people who are perceived to be partisan. You understand? And I don't want to say MPP, but who are perceived to be partisan into the EC. That's undermining the whole electioneering process, and also undermining our democracy. Because the president's reason for wanting to become president, you understand, there was a reason. There was a reason.
The reason was to fulfill his
I beg you, allow me, because I'm sure you are not God, so you don't know what is my head. No, I know exactly what is in my head. I'm so convinced about this.
For me, his reason was just to fulfill his childhood ambition of becoming president.
That is very simplistic. I bet you that reason wouldn't have motivated him to go through what he went through to become president.
Oh, really?
Just no. I understand. Okay. So the president had a reason. He had a clear plan. Except that the reason why he wanted to be president, the reason why he wanted to, and the same reason why they desperately need their Koliko, for want of a better word, their Koliko to succeed.
Exactly.
Yes, and is to pursue an agenda which is adverse to the agenda of Ghana. Yes, and it hasn't.
Absolutely.
When people are there, and then they think that by reason of some history, by whatever reason, they are more entitled than anybody in this country, and in a system of governance that's predicated on the belief that we are all equal. You understand, that we are all equal, and our equality finds expression in the fact that we are all free people. And so immediately you think that you are more entitled than any of us, and then you have a right, a God-given right to rule. And you understand that you can only do that if you impoverish everybody else, and you impoverish everybody else, and then and enrich yourself with properties that belongs to all of us. Then you have the governance system we are having now. For me, Well, I think I said it here before. Yes, I said it here before. And then for me, the worry is, what were the circumstances that allowed Nana Addo to carry out that agenda? It was a very difficult agenda to carry out, but he did it smoothly, seamlessly carried out agenda. What is wrong with our system that caused the system to enable him to achieve this agenda? And for me, it is a major issue going into election 2024. Yes, because it means that we must, as part of what we ought to expect from people who are putting themselves up, we need to get somebody who has a program that will make it practically impossible for anybody to succeed with the agenda Nana Addo and his cohorts. That Chibi agenda. That Chibi agenda.
The Achim Mafia.
Not Achim Mafia. It's a Chibi agenda. And even the Chibi itself, the people of Chibi should forgive me. Like, I also don't want to say an Oforiata agenda. You understand? I think it will be fair to use the Chibi agenda. We need
the executive presidency aided him most.
No, you see, no, because you see, because of the system we have, first of all, you need to convince your party people to buy into it first.
I was able to do that. So
You understand? And so not take your time. You understand? I know what you are saying, but he managed to get about half of Ghanaians to support him blindly, and was able to get about 49% of Ghanaians to support him blindly because of the weakness in our system. Yes, and once he did that, then it was very easy for him also then to, and he's very strategic, because when he took power in 2008, he deliberately weakened,
2016.
no, 2008. That 2008.
Oh, you mean the party?
Yeah, that was when the agenda. In fact, so he succeeded when he took over the party in 2008. Because the first step he took was to weaken the party. Because the party itself is supposed to serve as a check on you. Now, when President Force was president, we should recall that the party had the cojones to tell him when they felt that he was departing from what they believed in, that listen, take your government and let we'll take a party. The party could stand up to him. But it was because President Mofo didn't weaken the party. Because that's exactly what the party is supposed to do. You know, somebody made a comment that we should give powers to the party. And that when you give powers to the party, then when the president is departing, the party can sack him and replace him. It's not about the party and it's not about the presidential system. You understand? It's about how strong our institutions are. You understand? How strong our institutions are. And how strong our institutions are also included on how strong the economy is. Yeah. But then that's why he could use a finance strategy. Let me weaken them financially, so that it will depend on me, and they will be saying things like so. Because if it's MPP primary now, it's all about this practically cash to pay you by transactional. But you can only as I see. I thought you had 20 minutes, so I thought it was going to 10, 20. Oh, wife didn't give you that. She didn't give you that. Okay, so let me just end. It is for all these reasons. A firm belief, because somebody also said, and that we should have a non-partisan executive, and said it's not possible. What the person really meant was that can't we have something like a government of national unity, where your party coloring doesn't matter, or that when all that matters is your commitment. And it's exactly what John Kojo, you see, it's exactly that's what I'm going to say. So allow me to sell my Bible, my yellow Bible. It's exactly what John Kojo Chamanten is saying. Because in this book, in this transformational book, the greatest book beyond the Bible I've read, that has put into clusters, I promise 6 clusters, and has gone ahead in each cluster to give pillars that hold the clusters, thematic areas, and policy prescriptions whose focus is to create that government of national unity. I mean, where your party doesn't matter, your party doesn't matter. Because imagine, Resta, and even an honorable, the wisdom, and only because you are in this less than president, I say, oh, you are in for a different party, so I won't use you. It doesn't make sense. Well, for all intents and purposes, the kind of submission Resta made today about who is deliberately building businesses, in my view, is surely the way to go. You understand? Should it matter that Resta belongs to a different party when the submission my brother here is making Yeah, understand. First, about the role of governance, proper governance, in delivering on its promises, and only because you are NDC, as I use you. So coming to end, let us throw our weight behind Honorable Alan-Kyerematen to deliver on this, which will forge that united Ghana. You understand? United Ghana, government of national unity, where we can create a stable, a growing, a resilient economy which will deliver prosperity for every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think it's unfair to
Kwame, could you please hold on. Kwame, hold on. Kwame, I was actually going to go there. Don't worry. Kwame, can I read a message? Kwame, could you please explain to Ghanaians who a demagogue is? With just one example. This one is Uju from Danso Man. Good morning to you all. How can I even describe a demagogue? Somebody who appeals to the emotions of people. You know, yeah, it's like appeals to the emotions of people. Yeah, so you can have different adjectives to describe it, but yeah, that's one of them. Good morning. I salute the good people of Kenya. I'm proud of them. All right, thank you very much. John Paul says, hey, John Paul, Charlie, the message played to you. I know if you read that, I'm sorry. This one is like an essay. Dennis Waakwete says, do you know that it has been alleged that the sister of a 34 years rich man who was so broke that she had to go to school and get fan scholarship? All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Lawyer Apia Nankwa. Thank you, Register, and thank you very much, Honorable Abed, for your time. I'm sorry, I couldn't read a lot of the messages as I promised. I'm so hurt. It pains me, but I have to run away. I didn't get the time that I was asking for. So, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. My name is Kwame Owusu. So thank you for watching Good Morning Africa. Bye-bye.
Truly African.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the show. This is The Couch.